I really wanted to focus on this time frame of December 2000 and January of 2001. And I went into my keepsake box and I found a couple things there. There's the prescription for an echocardiogram that was written out for my husband in December of 2000. You know, he'd been, a little over 10 years, he'd been taking Coumadin. He received a mechanical valve. And primarily, his life had just been getting periodic blood checks to make sure that he was in proper range so that blood clots would not form on his mechanical valve. He had been told, go live your life, you're fine, you're fixed, really. You've got a mechanical valve that is intended to last your entire lifetime. But the local doctor just said, maybe we should order an echo and maybe we should take a look. And also in the office that day, my husband's blood pressure was very high. The systolic, or the top number, was approaching 200. The bottom number, the diastolic, was over 100 that day. But he went ahead and had the echo, and now you're going to see some scribbles about what that echo found. But there's one point I want to make for the benefit of those who do have tests performed. So that echo, you can see there's a little note on the prescription. It was done January 8th, 1 p.m. And a friend of mine asked me a couple weeks later, have you had the results on that echo yet? And I said, no, but it was just a routine test. He's fine. So I'm not expecting to hear anything much out of that. And I think it was close to 3 weeks that elapsed. One day on the answering machine, the doctor's office left a message. And we were pretty used to getting messages like, oh, your INR is fine, or, adjust your Coumadin a little bit. But this message said, we have the results of the test. Please call the office tomorrow. That's a little different when you get that. They're not giving much information out, but they want to talk to you. What I jotted down, what the doctor said was, above the valve looks a little dilated. CAT scan upper chest was recommended. So he had a CT scan. What was described as a little dilated was a 5.2 centimeter aneurysm of his ascending aorta. He had high blood pressure with no medication. 3 weeks went by from the initial finding on the echo, and there we were. We couldn't do much research in 1990. We heard about the fish mouth valve, didn't have much capacity, but a decade later, things had changed. To save my own sanity, I went out on the internet. And this paper, there wasn't a lot of information back then, and I don't know what search engine I was using, but this abstract of this paper would come up, and it was wonderful because it explained something very important to me. I thought somehow my husband's aorta had been injured or something. I didn't have a clue what could be going on. But this cardiology group in Pennsylvania wrote about 2 young men. They both had bicuspid aortic valves. One had been replaced 10 years prior. The other man had what they called a normally functioning bicuspid aortic valve. And they both got in trouble with their candy cane, their aorta. It taught me something very important, that even though the valve has been replaced, you still can have a problem with the aorta in the chest. And I hung on to this and this information. I looked for more. And then I thought, okay, we know he has an aneurysm. How are we going to find help? That was very, very difficult. In January of 2001, it's late January, the medical centers didn't have much out on the web. There wasn't too much information out there. I kept reading about something called the Marfan syndrome, And these people also get aneurysms in their aorta, in their chest. And my husband wasn't a Marfan person, but I felt like if somebody knew how to take care of them, maybe they could take care of my husband and help him. I knew by this time that they did do surgery and that they could replace the diseased tissue. So I went out, and this is kind of an anonymous site. To this day, I don't know who put it out there. I don't know. But I'm forever grateful. So they were listing doctors that had helped people that had the Marfan syndrome. And they listed them by state. And remember, this is all anonymous. I have no idea if this is very good information or not, but it was better than nothing. So in the state, you will see, I hope you can read it. Under the state of California, the first name listed, Sharo S. Racy, MD. And in quotes, what the person who put his name in there said, the surgeon for any aortic cardiovascular surgery. And then the second entry is the name of a vascular surgeon, and the comment there was that this vascular surgeon has worked with Dr. Racy in connection with my surgeries. There, okay, there's one name. Ultimately, I came up with about 6 medical centers in this country, and I decided we were going to go wherever we thought, based on limited information, we could get the best help. I'd already been afraid of losing my husband 10 years earlier, and I was not about to give in to this aneurysm now. So, of those centers, I called one other place first. It was here in California. I thought, well, I'll start with this state, but I fully intended, and I was really quite sure that we would not find help in California. But I said, that's easy. We don't have to travel. We'll just see what we can learn first. So one phone call to another location, just from the phone alone, it wasn't going to work. So the second phone call I made to Dr. Racy's office. And I guess, like they say, the rest is still unfolding. I had 2005 written down, and then I had 2006 because we weren't done. We kind of hoped we were. The aneurysm was safely gone, fantastic surgery, wonderful experience, really. Out of the hospital in 3 days. I'd never seen anything like it. But that mechanical valve that had been there since 1990, it decided to have some problems. And I want to point out to you that, remember, these people now are living longer than they would have prior to, say, 1960 when valve replacement began. And certainly aneurysms have been taking some of these people's lives for a very long time. So we're extending my husband's life. I really need to say that we really just don't know as these people live. They're special. They're special people. And he formed scar tissue around that mechanical valve over those years. But something we didn't, that's very, very hard to detect is that fine little hairs of tissue were also hanging off of that mechanical valve. And one day they broke off and went to the right side of his brain and gave him very significant stroke. So that's why he had surgery in 2006. The valve came out, and today he has a tissue valve. And again, another life-saving, life-extending surgery for my husband.